So the Silent Night Deadly Night remake had its premiere at Fantastic Fest. We got the first reactions to it. The first people who ever even got to see this movie have seen it. And it's looking like a lot of these early reviews are claiming that it's actually pretty awesome. If you followed my channel, you know that I'm a fan of this franchise. Well, at least the first two, and the fifth one a good bit. I reviewed and ranked all of the movies, and when they announced that they were doing a reimagining of Silent Night Deadly Night, they had Mike P. Nelson, who did a really good job with the Wrong Turn remake and that Friday the 13th short, and the guy who played Corey Cunningham in Halloween Ends, which an underrated little performance, I think, as part of that movie, which is very controversial, obviously. I just got very excited. It's from the same people who brought Terrifier, the Toxic Avenger remake, so they have a keen eye for kind of niche things, distributing things that a niche base would like, and this was one of those movies that they decided to take a chance on, and I'm happy to hear that it sounds pretty awesome. And kind of looking at some of the reviews, like Cody Leach, very trusted reviewer, someone that I'm a huge fan of, probably my favorite movie YouTuber, he praised the movie, saying that they could have played this very safe, but they decided to actually take big swings on it, but still preserving the essence of the original movie, which I think is probably the biggest point. I think when you do a remake, what you really do have to do is kind of do something different, take some risks, but at the same time keep that heart of what the original is and made it so great. And I'm glad to see that this isn't just a cookie cutter remake of Billy just, being traumatized, going crazy, and then going on a killing spree. And also some of the reviews actually make a comparison that I think is very interesting. People compare it to Dexter or Venom, so it looks like this could be kind of more of a vigilante take on Silent Night Deadly Night. I assume what it's going to be, and this is something that I actually have a small critique of with the original, despite the original being an absolute classic to me, a movie that I totally adore. One of my critiques of that original movie is that it feels like once he goes into killer mode, he kind of just mindlessly kills indiscriminately, and there's a moment where he asks a little girl if she's been naughty or nice, and she says that she's been nice or good, and he leaves her alone, but it feels like other times he kind of just indiscriminately kills no matter what. I would very much like to see a version of this movie where Billy is exclusively going after bad people who have been naughty. Because I actually weirdly think that original movie has a lot of soul to it, especially leading up to the part where he starts killing. And what I kind of dig about that movie is that it's oddly a compelling character study of Billy up until that point, and then he starts killing, and then it just becomes a fun slasher, which has gotten it its cheesy and hokey reputation. But up until that, I think there's bones for a really compelling story, and it seems like that might be where they go with this. Others are saying it's very fresh, a very clever spin on the original, which I like to hear. And that shouldn't be a surprise coming from someone like Mike P. Nelson. He basically entirely reinvented the wheel with the Wrong Turn remake. It's very different from that original Wrong Turn, but it takes it in a different direction that's interesting and still keeps the concept alive. And I was very happy to see that, because although I was a little bit reticent about them just entirely ditching the cannibals, the idea that they provided was at least an extremely interesting alternative that I could buy into, and made me more forgiving of how different it was and how much of a departure it was from the original series. But then when you come to terms with what they're doing here, it's a very simple concept. Traumatized boy grows up hating Santa Claus, being afraid of him, being put in that suit, makes him crash out and then go on a killing spree. But I think that with this, they might do something very different with that concept that is less simplistic, and I'm all for that. I'm all for bringing unique talent to a horror movie IP or series and seeing what they can do, especially if they have a fresh and unique idea, something that they could bring to the table that other directors couldn't do or would just do generic. So I'm glad to hear this. There's nothing bad I could really say about it, especially if it is as different as it sounds to be. I'm all for it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Are you excited for the Silent Night Deadly Night remake? Are these reactions giving you hope? I'm GM Light. Have a good one.